It's election time in India, and as usual, all the parties are going after each other. But one of the things that really bothered me was the opposition parties ganging up on the electoral bonds and calling it a scam. Uh, in what way can that be a scam? Now, what was happening earlier? If you look at elections after the 80s, it was all commercial. A lot of them who contested were contesting for the sake of making money. I'm not saying all of them, but I said some of them. And they were making some serious money. They would invest into it, which means invest into an election later on to reap the rewards. And how was the rewards? Obviously, all these parties were getting money in suitcases probably, or in sacks, whatever it is. It was all in the matter of cash. Now, obviously, who was the biggest sufferers in this were the parties which were the mom and pop parties. Mom and pop parties were like the regional parties which are run by families, father, mother, daughter, son-in-law, so on and so forth. They were the ones who were hit big because now the money was accounted, which means you go and buy the electoral bond in a bank, and from there it goes into the party fund. Now, obviously, the party fund, when they spend, now that gets accounted. Now, that was the problem to these parties. Now they had to become accountable. Earlier, it was, if you thought that these regional parties, the money that they got, they were keeping it. Some of the money would go into the personal coffers. That's how they used to build those huge homes, and their children used to drive fancy cars. And overnight, we would see, and somebody becomes a politician, and the next thing is, he's built a big mansion, so on and so forth. How did this happen? Because the cash was flowing in left, right, and center. Now, this electoral bond, this accountability was brought in. This was not comfortable to the many of these opposition parties, which are run by dynasts. Now, obviously, they had they made a hue and cry about it, and yes, the courts have struck it down. But I don't know what better system is going to come. Arun Jaitley had probably thought about it and done he had initiated a good program. It should have been better. The opposition party should have sat together with a ruling party and said, let's figure out a better way to do it. But they are in no mood to do it because they do not want to lose that cash cow. So that's what it's about, the electoral bonds. There was nothing in it that, scam or anything. It's like earlier they used to collect cash. Now it becomes legal. It comes into the system, and you'll have whatever you spend, you have to account it. Now, the other piece is the CAA. It's a one-time deal. And how is it going to affect a Muslim or a Christian or anybody else? Because it's a bunch of Hindus who came from Pakistan or Bangladesh or Afghanistan because they were persecuted. They were forced to lose their identity. And the poor guys came here hoping that it's the only country they can come to, right? And where else can they go? Whereas the local Muslims, why should they be up in arms? Because disinformation has been spread all around, by these leaders, by their leaders, and by these opposition parties. It's very unfortunate, very unfortunate. In Tamil Nadu, the same DMK was all okay with it. All they wanted was include the Tamils into it, right? That was the only concern they had. Now, all of a sudden, they have flipped the other way around and said, oh, no, CA is discriminatory. How can that be discriminatory? And then an actor who knows nothing comes and gives a one line that Tamil Nadu should oppose, CA. These kind of things, without ignorance is, it's ridiculous. Whether it's ignorance or intentional, I don't know. But it's a one-time deal, and there is a cutoff date. And no Muslim, no Christian, nobody is going to be affected by it. Whoever is a citizen of this country, right? They all are the same, It doesn't say that because you're this religion, you're that religion. It doesn't matter. This was meant for a bunch of people who are sitting here, and there's a cutoff date. Unfortunate that they're making a big issue about it. Hope better sense will prevail, in all these political parties eventually, and whoever wins, they sit together and come up with some good comprehensive plan in terms of how to collect funds for their parties and also take care of these poor displaced people. And that's how it should be. Let's see.